Have you ever wondered if an LLC can be a nonprofit? You're not alone. This question has piqued the curiosity of many, stirring a debate that has left some scratching their heads. Today, we're going to explore this concept in detail, shedding light on the intriguing intersection of LLCs and nonprofit organizations. From definitions to possibilities and alternatives, we'll cover it all. So fasten your seatbelts as we delve into the world of LLCs and nonprofit organizations. First things first, let's understand what an LLC is. LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. It's a unique business structure that combines the flexibility and simplicity of a partnership with the liability protection of a corporation. This means that the owners of an LLC, called members, enjoy a certain level of protection from personal liability for business-related debts and claims, a feature that's usually reserved for corporations. One of the defining characteristics of an LLC is its flexibility in management. Unlike a corporation, which requires a board of directors and corporate officers, an LLC doesn't have a rigid hierarchy. Members can choose to manage the LLC themselves or appoint managers to do so. Another key feature is the tax flexibility that an LLC provides. In the eyes of the IRS, an LLC itself is not a separate tax entity. Instead, all profits and losses pass through to the members, who report them on their personal tax returns. This is known as pass-through taxation, and it avoids the double taxation that corporations can face. So, why do businesses choose to form an LLC? There are a few reasons. The limited liability protection is a big one. It's right there in the name after all. This means if the business is sued or goes into debt, the members' personal assets are usually safe. The flexibility in management and taxation is another draw. Plus, forming an LLC can lend credibility to a business, showing potential customers and partners that you're serious about what you do. But like all things in business, forming an LLC isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's important to consider your specific business needs and consult with a business advisor or attorney to make sure it's the right move for you. Now that we know what an LLC is, let's move on to understanding nonprofit organizations. Now, let's turn our attention to nonprofit organizations. Imagine a group of individuals who come together with a shared passion. Maybe it's for art, education, or perhaps environmental conservation. They decide to form an organization with the goal of serving this mission, rather than seeking to generate profits. This, in essence, is what a nonprofit organization is all about. A nonprofit organization is a business entity that is designed to provide benefits to the community, the environment, or specific groups of people. Unlike a for-profit business, the primary goal of a nonprofit is not to distribute earnings to its owners or shareholders. Instead, any surplus revenues are used to further achieve its purpose or mission. Now, you might be wondering, what are the characteristics of a nonprofit organization? Well, nonprofits are typically characterized by their commitment to a specific cause or community. They are often exempt from paying certain taxes due to their charitable, educational, or similar purposes. However, it's important to note that nonprofit status does not mean the organization does not generate revenue. Many nonprofits have various streams of income, including donations, grants, and sales of goods and services. The key difference is that this revenue is reinvested into the organization's mission, rather than being distributed to owners or shareholders. In terms of structure, nonprofits are often governed by a board of directors. These individuals oversee the strategic direction of the organization and ensure it adheres to its mission. This differs from for-profit businesses, where the focus is on maximizing shareholder value. So how does a nonprofit operate differently from a for-profit business? The answer lies in their respective goals. A for-profit business seeks to maximize profits for its owners or shareholders. On the other hand, a nonprofit operates to serve a specific mission or cause. This fundamental difference impacts their strategies, operations, and measures of success. With a clear understanding of both LLCs and nonprofit organizations, let's discuss if an LLC can be a nonprofit. The million-dollar question: can an LLC be a nonprofit? Well, the answer is a bit complicated. To begin with, let's get a clear understanding of what an LLC is. An LLC, or limited liability company, is a type of business structure that combines the pass-through taxation of a partnership or sole proprietorship with the limited liability of a corporation. This means the owners or members of the LLC aren't personally responsible for the company's debts and liabilities. On the other hand, a nonprofit organization is a type of entity that uses its surplus revenues to further achieve its purpose or mission, rather than distributing its surplus income to the organization's directors as profit or dividends. Now back to our question, can an LLC be a nonprofit? Technically, yes. An LLC can choose to be a nonprofit by stating so in its operating agreement. However, this is where the complexities begin. The IRS, or the Internal Revenue Service, does not automatically classify an LLC as a nonprofit. To attain nonprofit status, an LLC must apply to the IRS for tax-exempt status and meet specific criteria. This includes demonstrating that the LLC is organized and operated exclusively for exempt purposes set forth in Section 501(c)(3) of the Internal Revenue Code, and none of its earnings may inure to any private shareholder or individual. Moreover, the process of turning an LLC into a nonprofit is not only time-consuming and complex, but it can also be costly. The application fee alone can run into hundreds of dollars, not to mention the ongoing costs of maintaining nonprofit status. Additionally, in many states, an LLC may not be eligible to receive certain benefits that are typically available to nonprofit corporations, such as state tax exemptions. So you see, while it's technically possible for an LLC to be a nonprofit, it's not always practical or beneficial. But don't worry, there are alternatives to a nonprofit LLC, which we'll dive into in our next scene. Stay tuned. If an LLC can't effectively function as a nonprofit, what are the alternatives? Well, let's dive into some of the other business structures that can effectively function as nonprofit organizations, each with their own unique benefits and drawbacks. First, we have the classic nonprofit corporation. This is the most common structure for nonprofit organizations. It provides a clear separation between the individuals who manage the organization and the organization itself, effectively protecting those individuals from personal liability. However, it does require a more complex setup, including a board of directors and strict compliance with state and federal laws. Next up, we have unincorporated associations. These are simpler and more informal entities, perfect for smaller groups or temporary projects. They're easy to set up and manage, but they don't offer the same level of liability protection as a nonprofit corporation. Then, we have trusts. These are often used for charitable purposes, such as scholarships or grants. While trusts provide a high level of control over assets and how they're used, they can be complex to set up and manage, and they may require significant legal and financial expertise. Let's not forget about cooperatives. These are member-owned and member-operated organizations that distribute profits back to their members. They're great for groups that want to work together for a common goal, but they require a high level of participation and commitment from their members. Lastly, we have social purpose corporations, also known as benefit corporations. These are for-profit entities that are also committed to achieving a social or environmental purpose. They provide a blend of profit-making and philanthropy, but they may face challenges in balancing these two objectives. So, as you can see, there are many alternatives to a nonprofit LLC, each with its own benefits and drawbacks. The best choice for you will depend on your specific objectives, resources, and constraints. These alternatives might be more suitable for those looking to operate a nonprofit organization. So, we've covered some ground today. We started by defining what an LLC or limited liability company is. It's a business structure in the United States that combines the pass-through taxation of a partnership with the liability protection of a corporation. Then, we delved into the world of nonprofit organizations. These are entities that use their surplus revenues to further achieve their purpose or mission, rather than distributing their surplus income to the organization's directors as profit or dividends. We then explored the intriguing question, can an LLC be a nonprofit? Technically, yes, an LLC can choose to be a nonprofit. However, it's a bit of a square peg in a round hole scenario. An LLC is designed to provide its owners with limited liability, while a nonprofit organization is meant to serve a public benefit. The two concepts don't mesh perfectly. We also discussed alternatives to a nonprofit LLC. Forming a nonprofit corporation might be a better fit for those looking to serve a public benefit while also providing their directors and officers with liability protection. In essence, while an LLC can technically be a nonprofit, it's not always the best or most practical choice. Remember, the right business structure depends on your specific goals and circumstances. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep those entrepreneurial spirits high.